Hey everyone, don't forget to subscribe to my channel right now. My husband Dylan and I got married last autumn, keeping things super low-key. No frills, no toast, no fuss. We ditched the whole elaborate wedding idea. Simply put our signatures on the documents at the courthouse and headed off to the mountains for a serene getaway. It felt personal, calm, and above all, truly ours. But to my mother-in-law Margaret, it was an absolute outrage. "You're skipping the wedding?" she exclaimed when Dylan broke the news. "How will anyone honor your union without a real ritual?" "We honor it," he answered steadily. "That's all we need. And you're not coming to live in the family house. You're the oldest son." "Mom," Dylan exhaled. "It's 2024. We crave our own path, not a repeat of you and Dad's." She didn't raise her voice. She just fell into an unsettling hush. It was that heavy quiet you could sense over the phone, like the buzz right before thunder. I had no clue back then, but that hush was her vow. She wasn't finished with me. Gerald, my father-in-law, took it way better. "Let them go," he told her, brushing aside her gripes. "They're grown-ups. Let them mess up on their own terms." That marked the first time I watched him shield us from Margaret. I appreciated it deeply. Dylan and I got comfy in a snug city apartment. I handled freelance editing and writing from home while he traveled to his tech gig downtown. I cherished our peaceful habits. I picked up fresh cooking techniques, tended a small herb patch by the window, even got thrilled about the idea of kids one day. Then the first invite landed. "Sunday supper," Margaret messaged. "Gerald's been wondering about you. I'll whip up your fave." I gazed at the text for ages. "Perhaps it's time," Dylan suggested, glancing over my shoulder. "We've dodged them long enough." That supper turned out better than expected. Margaret beamed nonstop. She called me dear 3 times and plated a spread straight out of a gourmet mag roasted duck with cranberry sauce, herb potatoes laid out like artwork. I nibbled warily. Margaret eyed me intently, like a researcher tracking a test. Post-dessert, she leaned close. "So glad you joined us, Emily. Next round, I'll show you the family stuffing secret. It's a craft." "Sure," I replied courteously, even though the idea twisted my gut unpleasantly. That evening, my gut flipped for real. I jolted awake at 2 a.m., soaked in sweat, curled in agony. The bathroom tiles chilled my face as I gasped through the nausea surges. Dylan discovered me nearly out and dialed 911. In the ER, the docs were stumped. Not foodborne illness, one noted. No signs of infection. Perhaps anxiety or a bad reaction. I left with an 4 drip and a bunch of meds. Weeks went by. I bounced back. Then another supper invite. This one fancier still. Rack of lamb, wild mushroom risotto, fresh baked breadsticks. Margaret glowed as we praised it. "You've stepped up your game," Dylan said. "Well, I've got extra time these days," she replied cautiously, dodging my gaze. That night, it struck again. New dish, identical outcome. After the 3rd round, I finally said it. "Dylan, I believe it's her cooking." He stared. "Huh. Every visit to your folks' place, I end up ill. Hospital bad ill. But you don't." "She doesn't. Gerald doesn't." He seemed uneasy. "You suspect she's adding something deliberately?" "I'm not sure. Possibly. Or just an ingredient that doesn't sit with me." He nodded thoughtfully. "Okay, no more visits then." "Not till we sort it." Margaret didn't handle it gracefully. She bombarded us with texts, calls, and once mailed a batch of her homemade cookies with a note. "Hope these don't upset you." Straight to the bin it went. Gerald kept mum the whole time. I couldn't tell if he suspected or just avoided trouble. Months rolled on. Then Dylan's little brother Mason revealed he was bringing his new bride Jenna to town for a family intro dinner. Naturally, at Margaret and Gerald's place. "We should attend," Dylan said, rubbing his neck. "It'll seem off if we bail. We'll stay cautious." "You don't even need to eat," I conceded. But worry gnawed at me all week. Come the day, I slipped into a flowy dress and stashed anti-nausea pills in my bag for safety. Margaret welcomed us at the door with an excessively sugary grin. "Oh, Emily, you seem wan. Let me fix you a light bite. Just some risotto." "I'm good. Thanks," I said, slipping past. Dylan chimed in softly. "She's not at her best. Water and a bread slice, maybe." "Mom." Margaret didn't fight it. She passed me a tiny Tupperware instead. Then take it home. Tastes better tomorrow. I forced a faint smile, shoved it in my bag, and skipped every bite at the table. The meal unfolded outdoors beneath sparkling lights and a vine-draped pergola. Jenna was friendly and chatty. Mason teased about childhood antics with Dylan. Gerald served wine and shared tales of past camping adventures. I began to unwind. Perhaps, just perhaps, it had passed without incident. Margaret kept peeking at my full plate, but held back. She occupied herself shuttling platters to and from the kitchen, humming under her breath. We were easing into dessert when it hit. Gerald, fresh from the kitchen with a ladle taste from the pot, halted abruptly. He let the spoon fall. His hand flew to his belly. Then he lurched back, toppling a patio chair, and crumpled. Dad! Dylan flung his glass and dashed over, chair screeching. Jenna gasped sharply as Mason grabbed his phone. Gerald lay sprawled on the stones, gripping his gut, face ashen and twisted. He was okay seconds ago, Mason mumbled. What's going on? No idea, Dylan replied, feeling his pulse. He's alert. Dad, you with us? Gerald managed a weak nod, sweat dripping from his brow. Gut on fire. Margaret burst from the kitchen, apron flying. What happened? He went down, Jenna said. Get an ambulance. Margaret's gaze flicked to the dropped spoon. What? What did he have? Dylan whipped around. He mentioned tasting from the kitchen. What was in that pot? Margaret's face slipped. Just stew. He probably scarfed it too fast. His stomach's touchy at times. But Dylan wasn't convinced. Paramedics showed up fast. They strapped Gerald to the gurney amid his soft groans. Cramping dizzy. Margaret demanded to ride along, and nobody argued. As the flashing lights faded down the road, the yard sank into shocked quiet. I don't like this, I murmured. Dylan, he only had a spoonful from the kitchen. Right. That's the creepy part. Indoors, the house air hung thick. Margaret's lavish spread lingered untouched on the big dining table, its allure now oddly menacing. We cleared plates wordlessly. Jenna leaned in and whispered, Do you truly believe? I don't know what to believe, I answered. But I've landed in the hospital 3 times post her meals. This is the first other victim. Dylan paused, then declared, I need to inspect the kitchen. What? Mason looked spooked. That's kinda extreme, right? She's gone, Dylan said. And something's off. If that stew's tainted, we gotta find out. He was already heading there. Jenna and I trailed. The kitchen gleamed, almost too perfectly. Pans dripped dry in the rack. Trash was emptied, but it screamed hasty cleanup. I swung open the pantry. What are we hunting? Mason wondered. Anything out of place? Dylan muttered. Jenna spotted it first. An unmarked white tin tucked behind flour. She eased it out and pried the lid. A plastic bag held fine off-white powder. We gawked. Sugar? Mason ventured lamely. Sniff it, Jenna urged. I did. My nose scrunched. Not sugar. Chemical, acrid, fake. Hold on. Jenna snatched a tiny spoon, scooped some into a sandwich bag. Taking this for testing if needed. Dylan nodded darkly. Hospital time. There. Gerald was still in the ER. Margaret hovered by the nurse's desk, arms folded. Spotting us, her smile cracked. No need to trek all this way. He'll recover, she claimed. Is he up? Dylan asked. Not yet, but docs say dehydration. Stress. Maybe stress, I echoed. We just want to see him, Mason jumped in, and chat with the doc. We lingered outside his room till a nurse waved us through. Gerald appeared drained, eyes shut, for hooked in, but breath steadier. A young doc stepped in, scanning notes. Family? Yes, Margaret snapped quick. Toxicology's pending, the doc said. But symptoms, gut pain, quick dehydration, vertigo, matched strong laxative intake. Margaret stiffened. Laxative? Doc looked up. Any chance he took something like that? Absolutely not. She bit out. No such meds. I advanced and drew the Ziploc. Found this in the kitchen. Test it, please. Doc took it silently and nodded. Lab-bound. Margaret blanched. Wait, could be anything. Why presume? You said he just sampled the pot. Dylan cut in. Skipped dinner. So what did he swallow, Mom? I don't know, she faltered. We do, Jenna said gently. And so does he. We pivoted. Gerald's eyes were open, observing. His rasp cut clear. Ladle taste. Right before sitting, Margaret iced over. You tried dosing Emily, didn't you? Dylan said icily. Dad got to it first by accident. Her eyes bounced around. No, I wasn't aiming to harm him. Didn't expect he'd. Then who were you targeting? I pressed. Silence thickened till I swore I heard my heartbeat. At last, she admitted. You, Margaret breathed. Aimed at you. My throat parched. Why? You stole my boy from me. She snarled. You talked him out of a wedding. Forced him from our home. That was his call, I fired back. Our joint decisions. You wrecked it all, she snarled. Pre-you, he rang nightly. Sunday suppers. He was perfect. Then you swooped with your trendy nonsense and self-centered vibes. That's no excuse for dosing someone, Jenna snapped. I didn't dose anyone, Margaret yelled. Just laxative. Harmless in tiny bits. Unless it ERs someone, Dylan retorted. Gerald strained upright. You dosed Emily, he said softly but solid, over and over. Now me too. All for your pride. Margaret reeled back shakily. You're exaggerating this. No, Dylan said. We're barely beginning. I eyed Margaret closely, hands shaking, eyes, once sly and scheming, now wild like a trapped beast. You've targeted me for months, I said. Why not quit? Because you kept showing up, she bellowed. And left fine each time. I felt defeated. Jenna flinched. That's twisted. It's tragic, Mason added. And illegal. Dylan whipped out his phone. You've confessed. Admitted purpose. Think we'll drop it? Wrong. Margaret blanched. You wouldn't, she whispered. I met her gaze with iron. Watch us. Margaret stood rigid, mouth agape, like the floor had shifted, fighting to steady. Hands gripped her purse like her last lifeline. Doc returned with results. Tone even, medical, but words chilled the air. Substance in Mr. Sutton's blood. Concentrated laxative, unprescribed, fresh intake. With house powder, points to intentional food tampering. Margaret gulped. I didn't mean for him. Doc's brow arched. Then for whom? No reply needed. Dylan's jaw clenched. That's attempted poisoning. No, not poison. Margaret stuttered. OTC stuff. Wasn't killing anyone. You dosed my wife repeatedly. With intent, Dylan's voice quivered. Watched her crash and stayed silent. Didn't figure it'd hit that hard, she shrieked. Just to sicken her. A signal. A teachable moment. A signal. Gerald's voice scraped raw but raged. You ER'd my son's wife over ego. Margaret whirled to him. You're picking them? Gerald. She kept Dylan from us. Trash tradition. I saw you unravel. Gerald said measured, propping up, but stayed silent, hoping sense. Now know that hush was wrong. Margaret's shoulders sagged. My husband and you poisoned my kin. Mason, quiet till now, advanced. You begged me to call you Mom. But if family's this, count me out. Margaret faced Dylan. Please, don't let them ruin me. I'm your mom. Used to mean something, he said frostily. I'd held back, letting them vent, but stepped up. You dosed me multiple times. Smiled over the table as I ate your rigged food. When I quit coming, you amped it. Now your husband, the sole kind soul there, is bedded here from you. She sobbed. You don't get abandonment, kids grown and gone. I eyed her firm. I get betrayal from who you hoped loved you. Gerald asked Doc. Legal fallout? Doc stated flat. Knowingly dosing sans consent? Crime. Especially with ER. I'll charge her, Dylan said instant. Margaret gasped. You wouldn't. Gerald raised hand. Hold. We all turned. Pale but steady. Margaret, one way to dodge court hell. Write confession. Apologize. And pay Emily $30,000 for bills. Pain. Suffering. Get employed. Earn it all. Margaret gaped like he'd sprouted horns. Gerald never worked a day. You want me mopping? Want you owning your mess, he said. Refuse? I'll charge, Dylan restated. Arrest incoming. Margaret's lips quivered. Scanned room for escape. Soft spot. Rescue. None. Fine, she whispered, then louder. Gerald pressed. Fine. I'll pay her. No aid from me, Gerald added. Job hunt. Earn every dime. She wept, nodded. I'll do it. Just no cops. 2 weeks on, typed confession and settlement hit our mail. Signed. Notarized, plus first $500 wired. Margaret took hotel gig by airport, room cleaning. Her once perfect nails now scoured tiles. Gerald relocated to sisters across town. Told Dylan no divorce yet. Not till she settles debt. But their ties snapped irreparably. I was still unpacking it. Betrayal, bodily harm, her grin while slipping me toxin. Started therapy to unpack trauma. Each nightmare of ER glare and Margaret's cloying eat your fave. Dylan hugged tight, murmured, she'll never reach you. That soothed. Soon payments normalized. Biweekly wires with curt notes like partial number 3 or $600 per terms. Never extra words, but I didn't crave them. Jenna and I bonded tight through it. We kidded on podcast mother-in-law secrets. Mason vowed no family meal sans food tester. One night, I cracked the Tupperware she'd shoved at me last time. Still frozen. Scooped bit to Ziploc, labeled evidence, dumped rest with thud. Normalcy crept back. Gerald dropped by oftener, toting wine and corny dad quips to ease vibes. Dylan and I chatted deeper than ever. Limits, kids, parent styles. Pain split us, but we mended tougher. One afternoon, phone pinged. Payment in. Note attached. Still think you wronged our family, but I was worse. M. Stared ages, deleted. Dylan brewed coffee kitchen side. I hugged his waist, chin on shoulder. It's over, I said. He knew. Kissed my head. Good. Months passed. In bookstore, I faced shelf with impossible sight. My name on spine. Debut novel, inspired by our saga under new releases sign. Domestic thriller, woman dosed by trusted soul. Tag, not food sickened her. Love behind it did. Neighbor lady grabbed copy, read blurb, grinned. Sounds crazy. True story? I grinned. Sorta. Dylan showed with 2 lattes. Shoulda titled Mother Knows Worst. I chuckled. Sequel material. Strolling into crisp dusk, I felt unburdened, lightest in months. Hurt, backstabbed, near shattered. Now complete. And Margaret? Still paying. Justice, turns out, lingers on the tongue.